The Buffalo Bills lost, again, in what could only be described as excruciating fashion. If that sounds familiar, I'm sorry. But how else could I describe a loss to the New York Jets? Quarterbacked by Zach Wilson, notorious MILF hunter. So let's dig through the rubble and try to come up with something resembling a reason why. Last time, I put the blame on Leslie Frazier. So who's the GOAT this time around? We've got several contenders. First, let's talk about the game. The Buffalo Bills, coming into last night, had dealt with their fair share of drama over the summer, but appeared to have stabilized everything. The Stefon Diggs drama was over, and with Leslie Frazier officially on sabbatical, everything was setting up well for the Bills. Things had gone so well of late that many had started considering the Bills a post-hype sleeper for the Super Bowl this year. Nonetheless, the Jets were going to be a tough test for these Bills, especially in Week 1 on Monday night. Their defense had given them fits last year, and now they added Aaron Rodgers. However, the addition of Rodgers was short-lived. And by that I mean very short-lived. 4 snaps in, the veteran quarterback snapped his Achilles, thanks to the Jets inviting the Bills' pass rush. This brought Zach Wilson in, the quarterback, whose play last year caused a mutiny in the Jets' locker room. For most of the game, it seemed like the Bills were in control. Sure, the offense didn't look great, but the defense didn't have to be to keep Zach Wilson contained. But then Josh Allen kept turning the ball over and over and over again. Eventually, Josh's mounting mistakes got the Jets close enough to get a touchdown, and then a late-game fumble got them a field goal. And then some suspect play calling got them a return touchdown in overtime. All told, it felt like the Bills beat the Bills. Now there are 2 main culprits suggested by everyone. They are Josh Allen and offensive coordinator Ken Dorsey. Allen is a pretty logical choice for the game GOAT. He turned the ball over 4 times, including twice in the fourth quarter. Beyond the turnovers, the quarterback just didn't seem like himself. He was rattled, missing throws, not really running with poise. Something just seemed really, really off. Some of that could be attributed to the fact that the Jets' defense is a bad matchup for him. Allen did look a lot better last year against other teams. But you would have liked to have seen some adjustments from him, especially considering that losing to this opponent means they're already behind in the playoff race. One has to wonder how much of that lack of adjusting from Allen could be blamed on Ken Dorsey. The last time I talked about a Buffalo Bills loss, I caught a lot of flack for not really going in on Dorsey. In fact, I can't remember if I brought him up. This time I definitely feel like Dorsey is worth mentioning. As you can see from these zeets, Buffalo Bills fans are not particularly happy with the job he did calling the game. However, as Greg and Anthony from Cover 1 pointed out, there were open receivers for Allen on several plays, and that draw play in OT was a play that was working throughout the game. So it's Josh Allen's fault then. Case solved. We can go home now. Not exactly. I think Sean McDermott's post-game comments are quite telling. I thought Ken did some really good things. Then he also added, he could have done a bit better in certain situations. A bit better. The use of passive aggression there is not exactly a glowing endorsement of Dorsey's job. So although I definitely agree with what the guys from Cover 1 pointed out, and it's very sound, I also can't help but feel that there's like a tendency to defend coordinators when it comes to covering the team versus being a fan. It's a totally healthy one. It's really easy to point the finger at the OC. However, I think it often is the coordinator's fault. It's easy to forget that, there was a time when Joe Biscaglia used to glibly ridicule fans who questioned Nathaniel Hackett's play calling. The truth is, most coordinators are average to bad at their job. And, it's kind of impossible to know before they can actually do it whether they will be actually good. And considering Allen's regression for the timetable left, it's fair to question Dorsey at this point. After all, it's him who has to put Allen in a better position to make better decisions. Of course, it's also Allen's responsibility to make the right decision. There is also the possibility that there's just something wrong with Allen. But with millions invested in the quarterback, the easiest thing to do would be to find another coordinator to get Allen's head screwed on straight. But that's not going to happen this year. Joe Brady, for example, is also on the staff, and he's not great either. And another Brian Daboll is not walking through the door. Funny enough, like I pointed out earlier about Nathaniel Hackett and his tenure with the Bills, Brian Daboll was actually once public enemy number one. So here's hoping he's more Daboll than Hackett. But right now, he seems to be leaning towards the Hackett side of things. All right, thanks for listening. Please like and subscribe and leave a comment below. Who do you think is to blame for this latest Bills loss?